If you could ask every failed business owner in America one question before they spent a single dollar, most of their businesses would have never opened. Not because they lacked passion, not because they didn't work hard enough, because almost nobody asks themselves this one question honestly before they start, and the ones who do almost always end up on the right side of the survival statistics. Before we get into it, a quick introduction for anyone new here. I'm Jasmine. I hold a degree in business strategy and transformation, and for the past 7 years, I've studied why some businesses quietly survive for decades while others, run by equally smart, equally hardworking people, disappear within a few years. And after looking at hundreds of these stories side by side, one pattern kept repeating so clearly that I started using it as a filter for every business idea I come across now. There's one question, asked honestly, that predicts survival better than almost anything else. And it's not, is this a good idea? Almost every founder thinks their idea is good. That's not a useful filter, because it's just a feeling, and feelings about your own idea are notoriously unreliable. What we need instead is something closer to a test, something with a real yes or no answer that doesn't depend on how excited you are the day you write the business plan. Let's start with the numbers, because without data, this is just an opinion. According to Bureau of Labor Statistics data, roughly 20% of businesses fail within the first year, and close to half fail within 5 years. Those numbers get repeated constantly, almost to the point of losing meaning. So let's go one level deeper. CB Insights, which studies startup failures specifically, went further than just tracking whether businesses failed. They actually asked the founders why, in their own words, and then categorized the answers. The results were surprisingly consistent. 42% of failed businesses cited one specific reason above every other cause combined. No market need, not lack of funding, which came in lower on the list, not bad timing, not poor execution, poor marketing, or even running out of cash, which people often assume is the real killer. The product or service simply didn't solve a problem enough people actually had, badly enough, to consistently pay for it. That single stat is the foundation of everything in this video, because it means the biggest risk in business was never the execution, it was the demand. Think about how much of the standard startup advice you've probably heard focuses on execution. Build a better website, post more consistently, improve your funnel, optimize your ad spend. Almost none of that advice addresses the actual number one killer, which happens upstream of all of it, in the decision about what to build in the first place. You can execute a demandless idea absolutely perfectly and still watch it fail, because perfect execution of the wrong idea just means you find out faster and more expensively that nobody wanted it. And that brings us to the one question. Here it is. Would this business still get customers if it couldn't advertise at all? Read that again, because it's simple enough to skip past without really absorbing it. Would this business still get customers if it couldn't advertise at all? No Instagram ads, no influencer partnerships, no paid search, no clever marketing funnel, no viral TikTok moment you're secretly hoping for. Just the raw need itself, sitting there, waiting to be filled by whoever happens to be nearby with a truck, a phone number, and a willingness to show up. If the honest answer is yes, you're probably looking at a business built on real, existing demand. If the honest answer is no, or, well, maybe, if enough people saw it, you're likely looking at a business that has to manufacture desire before it can ever generate revenue. And manufacturing desire is exponentially harder and more expensive than meeting demand that already exists. This is worth sitting with for a moment, because these two paths don't just differ in difficulty, they differ in kind. Meeting existing demand is a logistics problem. Be visible where people are already looking, be reliable, and the business compounds on its own reputation over time. Manufacturing demand is a psychology problem. You have to interrupt someone's day, convince them they have a problem they weren't thinking about, then convince them your specific solution is the right one, all before you've made a single dollar. Let's test this question against a range of examples, because it becomes a lot clearer once you see it applied across very different kinds of businesses. A plumber. Would people still call a plumber with zero advertising? Yes, immediately, the moment a pipe bursts, because the need existed before the business did, and will exist long after any ad budget runs out. A trendy new energy drink brand. Would people seek it out with zero marketing? Almost certainly not. Nobody wakes up needing your specific energy drink. They need to be told it exists, then convinced it's better than the dozen alternatives already on the shelf, and that convincing is the entire cost center of the business. A pest control company. Would people call without ever seeing an ad? Yes. The second they see something moving in the kitchen at night, because the discomfort of the problem does the selling for you. A subscription box for a hobby nobody's heard of yet. Would people find it and subscribe with zero marketing? No, because awareness has to come first. Desire has to be built second, and only then does a sale become possible. 3 separate hurdles standing between you and revenue instead of one. A locksmith. Would someone locked out of their car at midnight search for a locksmith regardless of advertising? Obviously yes, and they'll pay a premium without blinking, because the alternative, sleeping in the parking lot, is far worse than the cost of the service. A boutique candle company with a clever brand story. Would people seek it out with zero marketing? No. Candles are widely available everywhere at every price point, so a new entrant has to convince people not just that they want a candle, but that they want this specific candle company's candle over the dozens of others already sitting on store shelves and in their algorithm feeds. An HVAC repair company. Would someone with a broken air conditioner in July search for help regardless of ads? Absolutely. And the search happens within minutes of the unit failing, not weeks later after careful consideration. A new app that gamifies grocery shopping. Would people seek it out with zero marketing? Almost never. Because grocery shopping already works fine for most people without an app, which means the business has to convince people a problem exists before it can even begin selling the solution to it. Notice the pattern across all of these. Every business that passes this test is solving a problem the customer already knows they have, often painfully and urgently. Every business that fails it is trying to create a want the customer didn't know they had until they saw the ad, or trying to pull customers away from an adequate existing solution toward a marginally better one. Neither approach is impossible. People absolutely do build successful brands around manufactured desire. Some of the biggest companies in the world are built exactly that way. But it's a fundamentally harder, more expensive, more fragile path, and it requires marketing skill, creative talent, and budget that most first-time business owners simply don't have yet, and often can't access until after they've already built something smaller and more forgiving first. Let's go deeper into why this one question works so well as a filter, because there are actually 3 layers hiding inside it, and understanding all 3 changes how you apply it. Layer 1. Existing demand means lower customer acquisition cost. When someone is actively searching for a solution to a problem they already know they have, they find you. You don't have to interrupt their day and convince them they have a problem in the first place. That difference alone can be the entire gap between a profitable business and one that bleeds cash on ads forever. A business that ranks on Google for "emergency plumber near me" is capturing demand that already exists at the exact moment someone needs it. A business trying to convince someone via a social ad that they need a new kind of product is fighting for attention against everything else competing for that same feed, where the cost per click keeps climbing every year as more businesses compete for the same limited attention. Layer 2. Existing demand means more forgiving unit economics. Because you're not constantly paying to manufacture desire, more of every dollar a customer pays goes toward actual profit instead of customer acquisition. That margin becomes the buffer that lets a business survive a slow month, a bad review, or an economic downturn. A plumber whose customer acquisition cost is close to zero because the customer searched and found him can absorb a slow month far more easily than a brand that has to spend heavily on ads just to generate the same volume of sales month after month with no end date to that spending. Layer 3. Existing demand means the business survives changes in taste, trends, and algorithms. A business selling based on what's currently trending lives and dies by the trend. A business meeting a need that's existed for decades or centuries doesn't have to reinvent itself every time a platform changes its algorithm or a new competitor becomes fashionable. Plumbing worked the same way in 1985 as it does today, and it'll likely work the same way in 2055. That stability is worth more than most people give it credit for, especially in a media landscape where an algorithm change can cut a business's traffic in half overnight with zero warning and zero recourse. Now let's talk about how to actually use this question before you start something, because knowing the filter and applying it honestly are 2 very different skills. Most people who fail this test don't fail it because they misunderstand the question. They fail it because they lie to themselves while answering it. So here's a more structured way to apply it. Step 1. Write down the exact problem your business solves in one plain sentence, using words a customer would actually use, not marketing language. If you can't write that sentence without using the word unique, revolutionary, innovative, or disrupting, that's often a warning sign the problem isn't as concrete as you think it is. Real problems don't usually need adjectives to describe them. A burst pipe is just a burst pipe. Step 2. Ask yourself honestly, does this problem already cause people to search, call, or ask around for a solution today, without you having to teach them the problem exists first? Try actually typing your problem into a search engine and see what already exists. If there's already an entire category of businesses solving this exact problem, that's usually a good sign, counterintuitively, because it proves demand exists. Zero competition is far more often a red flag than an opportunity. Step 3. If the answer is genuinely yes, move forward with confidence, knowing your biggest job is simply being visible and reliable where the demand already lives, not convincing anyone the demand should exist in the first place. Step 4. If the answer is no, that doesn't necessarily mean abandon the idea entirely, but it does mean budgeting realistically for the cost, time, and skill required to create demand from nothing, and being honest with yourself about whether you actually have those resources or the patience to build them over a period of years rather than months. 4 mistakes people make even after learning this question. Mistake 1. Answering the question based on what they hope is true instead of what's actually true. It's tempting to convince yourself that people will obviously want your product once they see it, especially after you've spent months building it and emotionally invested yourself in the outcome. That hope is exactly the trap CB Insights data is describing, and it's the most common way this filter gets misapplied, because by the time most people ask themselves the question, they've already fallen in love with the answer they want. Mistake 2. Confusing "I would want this" with "the market wants this." Plenty of failed businesses were built around a founder's personal preference that simply wasn't shared by enough paying customers to sustain a business. You are one data point, not a market. Mistake 3. Testing the question too late. After the lease is signed, the inventory is ordered, and the logo is designed, instead of before any money is spent. The entire value of this question comes from asking it early, when changing direction still costs almost nothing, rather than late, when sunk costs start clouding judgment, and every dollar already spent makes it harder to admit the idea might not work. Mistake 4, and this one is subtle, applying the question to the category instead of the specific execution. Someone might correctly conclude that pest control passes the test, existing demand, recurring need, urgent problem, but then build a version of it so overpriced, poorly located, or badly run, that the category's built-in demand never actually translates into their specific business succeeding. The question tells you whether demand exists. It doesn't excuse you from still running the business competently once you're inside a category that passes the test. Which businesses tend to pass this test most reliably? As a general pattern worth remembering, repair and maintenance services, because something breaking down is a problem people already recognize the moment it happens. Emergency and urgent services, because the need announces itself loudly and immediately, often at the worst possible time, which is exactly why people are willing to pay for immediate resolution. Recurring essential services like cleaning, pest control, or waste removal, because the need repeats on a predictable schedule, whether or not anyone advertises, and the customer already understands why they need the service before they ever search for a provider. And services tied to legal or regulatory requirements, like notary work, tax preparation, or safety inspections, because the government itself has already created the demand for you, and customers aren't debating whether they need the service, only who they're going to hire to provide it. Let me close with 2 people, because a framework like this only really sinks in once you watch it play out in 2 real, contrasting stories. Maya spent 8 months developing a specialty tea subscription brand built around rare, hard-to-find blends she was personally passionate about. She'd fallen in love with loose-leaf tea a few years earlier, started sourcing unusual blends from small growers, and genuinely believed she was solving a real gap in the market, a subscription box that felt curated and personal instead of mass-produced. She designed beautiful packaging, built a polished website, and launched with a modest ad budget she'd saved up over a year of part-time freelance work. The product itself was genuinely excellent. Reviewers who tried it loved the quality. The packaging photographed well. By almost every creative measure, Maya had built something impressive. The problem was that almost nobody was searching for rare specialty tea blends before they saw her ads. Tea, as a category, has plenty of existing demand, but Maya's specific, highly curated version of it required customers to first learn that unusual specialty tea blends existed, then be convinced they wanted to try them, then be convinced her particular subscription was worth trying over the dozens of other lifestyle subscription boxes competing for the same attention and the same monthly budget. Every single customer had to be found, educated, and convinced, 3 expensive steps before a single sale happened. 18 months in, her ad costs were eating nearly all of her margin, climbing every quarter as the platforms she advertised on became more competitive and more expensive. She was spending more time creating content, trying to manufacture interest, than actually running the business she'd originally wanted to build. And the parts of the business she loved most, sourcing rare teas, designing packaging, had become a smaller and smaller fraction of her actual week, replaced by hours spent tweaking ad creative and analyzing conversion rates on a funnel that never quite got cheap enough to sustain itself. Derek started a residential gutter cleaning and repair service the same year, with a total starting investment of about $2,000 in basic tools and a magnetic sign for his existing truck. He didn't have a background in marketing, no interest in building a brand, and honestly, by his own admission, found the actual work fairly unglamorous. He didn't run a single paid ad in his first year. He didn't need to. Every fall and spring, homeowners with clogged gutters were already searching for someone to call, typing "gutter cleaning near me" into a search engine the moment leaves started piling up or water started overflowing near their foundation. Derek claimed a free local business listing, answered his phone quickly, showed up on time, and did solid, reliable work. That was essentially his entire marketing strategy for the first 2 years. Once he showed up on time and did good work, he got the exact same customer back automatically every single season without ever having to convince them the problem existed, because the problem re-announces itself every autumn whether Derek advertises or not. 2 years in, Derek had more recurring seasonal clients than he could personally service, hired a second technician, and never once had to explain to a customer why they needed his service in the first place. They already knew, sometimes before they'd even finished dialing his number. By year 3, word of mouth alone, powered by nothing more than reliability and a recurring seasonal need, had built him a client list dense enough that he started turning down new customers outside his existing service radius, something Maya, with her polished brand and creative product, never once had the luxury of doing. The difference between Maya and Derek was never talent, work ethic, or business sense. Maya was arguably the more creative, polished operator of the two, with better design instincts and more natural marketing sense than Derek ever developed. The difference was that Derek's business passed the one question before he ever spent $1, and Maya's, if she's honest with herself now, looking back, probably wouldn't have, had she asked it clearly enough before she started, rather than discovering the answer slowly and expensively over 18 months of ad spend. If you made it this far, think about a business idea you've been considering, whether it's something you're actively building right now or something you've only sketched out in your head, and ask yourself honestly, would this business still get customers if it couldn't advertise at all? Not would it be cool if it worked? Not do I believe in this enough to make it work, just the raw, honest test. Would the demand be there without you having to manufacture it first? Tell me your honest answer in the comments, even if the answer makes you a little uncomfortable, because that discomfort is usually exactly the signal worth paying attention to. If this video gave you a clearer way to evaluate your own ideas, hit like so it reaches more people, and subscribe for more videos like this every week. I'm Jasmine, and I'll see you in the next one.